Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for March 23rd. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Puya. How you doing, Puya?
I'm good, Taran. I'm glad people won money last week betting on number 7. I didn't think that was going to happen. That was just a joke. But we'll be keeping our ears open for whenever you dish out a number now. And I have a question for you. I would like us to go around and have a fun fact to say about our lives. I will go first so that you have time. When I was 12, I was visiting my family in Sweden. We're on this ferry that goes to Denmark and back. And this seagull peed on my head. And out of complete shock, I burst into tears and just cried my eyes out.
It's a great fun fact, Puya. Let's give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
This is lovely. We should continue doing this for another hour.
Yes.
And that will be an accurate recap of the feeds.
Yeah, no, I think if anything, we're known for our accuracy of the feeds here.
Yes. We are live on Facebook, on the Rob as a Podcast Facebook page, and on YouTube, where you can find us on Rob as a website. There's a chat room open. You can talk to us on Facebook or the chat room or on Twitter if you want. If you want to tweet at me, that's fine too. So we're going to be talking about the Big Brother Canada 6 live feeds and everything that happened yesterday, and that includes some of the stuff that happened before the eviction, because there is some juicy stuff that the show did not get to.
Yes.
So let's start the day off. As we talked about yesterday, there was still a chance that Hamza was going to try and flip this vote. So Hamza was talking with Veronica, Marin, and Will about Jesse's pitch the night before and whether or not they should go along with it. Marin and Will in particular were like, no, you should not do this. This is a bad idea. And even Veronica was basically saying, he had me convinced, but then Derek and Kayla came to us with Five's company, and now I feel like it makes sense to get rid of him. And so Hamza's like, oh, but this is a big move. Like basically everything we've said about Hamza, where it's like he made the big move by taking the shot at Jesse, but now that's the expected thing, and the unexpected thing, the new big move, is to save Jesse. So Hamza wants to do it, but none of his allies are biting here.
No, Hamza very, very like Sierra Easton mixed with the hipster on your neighborhood block, where he doesn't want to be doing what the majority wants, but he also wants to be the pioneer and make new things happen. And because of the nature of the house this past week, the constant back and forth, it was kind of like, what's going to be the consensus the day of? That's what he doesn't want to happen. And he tried, but obviously to deaf ears, because the entire week has been spent on trying to convince people to make this move. So it's still too little too late for that.
Yes, and Hamza does get something in, though. He's like, well, fine, I can't change the vote. Fine. What I can do is scare Olivia. And so he pulls Olivia in and he goes, hey, just so you know, and we talked about this yesterday. I was laughing while Matt was talking, or I don't even, was it Matt? Yeah, Matt. Matt was talking because I was reading that Hamza was doing this, and he was telling Olivia, things might be flipping. We're like 50-50 right now. You never know. And it's just like, again, this is really is a perfect example of the poor play by Hamza, Veronica, Marin, Will, like all four of them, in terms of they really were the ones that pushed to not take Olivia out of this game. And Kayla is the one that gets all the credit. Kayla is the one that has the new relationship with Olivia, and this is one of the reasons why Hamza being just like, we might flip, we might not, you never know.
Yeah, and like I love that. After she leaves, Will and Marin, well, what was the point of that? Why are you doing this? Hamza just likes to do things for the sake of doing things. And with Olivia especially, it was no shorting there, because he's definitely just trying to do something. He can't just sit there and do nothing. And then again, fast forward, like we're getting closer to him not being HOH anymore. And what does he want? He wants to be put up on the block again to win the veto. Like the man's all over the place. And I don't think he quite knows what he wants anymore. It's just he's just going wherever the wind takes him, and then just makes these decisions out of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we got a conversation from Will and Johnny, and they were both talking about how Marin is a floater and they need to be careful of Marin. Johnny planting more anti-Marin seeds there. And also notable is that this is Will's first opportunity to talk to Johnny after the Fives Company Alliance was formed, and Will does in fact tell Johnny about it. Johnny continues to be abreast of all of the information in the house, and good for Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny's the central hub. Everyone comes to him, goes through him. He has all the information, and I really love how he uses this information as currency. He doesn't just blurt it out. He makes very logical decisions with it. I don't know what Will is doing. Will has also kind of been all over the place for me this week, where initially I was like, good job. Really, like, you wanted to do something, you're making it happen, good on you. But then now it's like he's just going back and forth constantly, dishing out a lot of things. I know that he believes that the Fives Company thing wasn't real. I know that most of, pretty much everyone in that company was thinking this is just kind of like a fakey anyways. But then at the same time, don't be giving information like that out, especially to people that were not included on the plan. It's still sketchy at the end of the day. I know that someone like Johnny probably is able to decipher this properly and know it is for what it is. But at the same time, it's still weird to do generally. So Will's a little worrisome. And we'll get to why Will is worrisome moving forward at last night. So
yes, Will also had a conversation with Jesse where he finally admitted that, look, I'm not voting to keep you. It's not happening. Maddie also finally tells Jesse, look, it's not happening, and hey, Veronica is lying to you. She is also not voting for you, which turned out to theoretically not be true, but the heart of it was true.
Yeah.
And so Jesse finally really just wakes up and starts campaigning. This is what you saw on the episode a little bit, but before the Red Room speech, his first stop was, again, to Johnny, where he has a conversation with Johnny where he spills basically his whole game, his alliance with the boys and Will, his alliance with Derek and Kayla. Just trying to get something from Johnny. And again, I mentioned this on the recap last night, but he's basically spilling everything to the guy that made this happen, that made everyone turn on him, which is very funny. And again, very good for Johnny. More information for Johnny.
Yeah, no, Johnny's just stocking up ammunition to move forward with. It's probably not going to be needed for a while, but when it is, he knows where all the skeletons are in this house moving forward. So, and I think he's shown this week especially how well he can do with any information he has. So the more he gathers, the stronger he's going to get moving forward.
Yes, so then we see Jesse's last-minute pitch in the Red Room where he's slamming doors in faces, and he's fired up. He's woke. He's really woke.
Really woke. Don't forget that.
Yes, and he tries to tell people, look, Hamza, Marin, Will, and Veronica are working together. You need to be very cautious of that. You need me in this house in order to combat them. Obviously, it doesn't end up working. Jesse gets evicted by a 7-2 vote, but you got to admire his heart here.
He really tried. But at the end of the day, it was too little too late. I've not really been a fan of Jesse during this season, but at the same time, I really respected the hell out of what he was trying to do. Just the fact that he didn't give up till literally minutes before the live eviction show, kudos to him. It's more than anything Olivia would have done, and I commend him for that at the very least.
Yeah, and if he had listened to Paris, who had been telling him all week long that Will was not on his side, and if he had realized that Will was not on his side earlier, I think that he really could have made a play. I mean, even if he had just gone to Hamza earlier, and before Derek and Kayla screwed him over with that, like I think there's so many different ways that this week could have gone down where Jesse could have been safe. And we've talked about them extensively now. But even after all the door slamming and the accidentally saying Johnny's name and all of that, there's still a lot of different roads that could have gone, could have branched out from trying to save himself, and just didn't happen. Just was not a good week for Jesse.
No, just all in all, Jesse waited a little too late, made some very minor mistakes that ended up being capitalized by other people to expand and make him the target. And it just got to a point where he took too long to decide what to do, and he took too long to realize that the alliance I think I have, the people I think I have, I don't have. So I need to find new people. It was just too late. It was ultimately too late. He had alliance members that really fought for him in the beginning. One by one, people stopped. With the very end being kind of like Paris was like the last one to stop campaigning for him. And then when he started to campaign, it was already done. The shift had been made. I know that he tried to pitch the 4 people as this big thing, but he should also realize that if it truly is 4 people, one of them can't compete next week. So it's 3 people. And those 3 people, one of them is Marin, someone who a lot of people are just seeing as a floater in the house. So he really, really could have done a lot better a lot sooner had he started planting the seeds, but he waited entirely too long and just banked on people that he did not have at that point.
Yeah, so ultimately we see Jesse evicted, and Veronica casts a hinky vote, which she is going to not take credit for. She is going to try and blame others for. Apparently she had grabbed Kayla's arm shortly after the vote, saying, "Did you cast that vote?" Obviously, a lot of people assumed that it might be Paris that cast this vote. So Veronica playing a very dangerous game here, but there is the hunt here for the hinky vote, and as I mentioned, people did kind of assume it was Paris at first, and Will and Paris end up having a bit of an altercation over this. Will is questioning Paris about the vote, and she is just like, "No, why would I do this?" And she starts to get really pissed off, and they get into a fight. They're just like, they start fighting. Will is just like, you're it's like talking to a 2-year-old, and Paris is just like, "You're the worst, I hate you," and then afterward, Paris is venting to Veronica and the cameras, just talking about how pissed off she is at Will. He's not her boyfriend, he's not her father. Why is he talking to her like that? She hates him.
Yeah, no, Will was the one person that couldn't let the vote go initially. Just to quickly backtrack, the hinky vote is something I've always thought is a fun strategy, is a good strategy, because it stirs people up if the right person does it. I don't think Veronica's the right person. I think it's only a matter of time before they find it out completely. By the end of the night, enough people are kind of thinking it's probably her. Even Will's shortlist was her, Maddie, and Paris. And Will just had to be on this hunt. And initially watching that conversation with Paris, it was interesting because he's trying to figure it out. Paris obviously reassures him it's not her. It makes no sense for her to do this. She doesn't have the number. Why would she try and tank her own game to give a pity vote to someone? And then you've got Will kind of playing this self-righteous card of, well, it's I trust these people, and now they I don't know who to trust. I don't think I could trust anybody's until I figure out this vote. And obviously that roused Paris up because at this point we're 6-7 minutes into a conversation and he keeps bringing it back to that. And Paris obviously rightfully sees this as, what do I need to do to get your loyalty? Because you're clearly still poking me trying to figure it out. And then where it really turned into turmoil was because they're having this conversation in the pantry, and Erica walks in briefly to get something, and they're still having this conversation. Erica walks out and Will loses it. As you alluded to, Will talks about her being a 2-year-old. She's always raising her voice when she doesn't need to, and he kind of raises his voice back, and Paris tries to keep it under control, somewhat. It's hard to in that situation, but then obviously she goes into that room with Veronica and just blows her lid off completely on the whole thing, giving us feeders what we need to hear with Veronica there. And again, it goes back to Veronica also, while they were minutes before the vote's going down, looks at Paris and says, "Please don't give him a pity vote. Please." It's if you're going to plant it on her, don't say that to her. Just kind of like making sure Paris doesn't do it before she does it. So that's kind of sloppy. Because if you're doing the hinky vote, the key is to never speak of it. Act like it's just outrageous that someone did it if it comes up, but pretend you have no idea why or where it would come from. But Veronica has brought this hinky vote up herself multiple times because I think she rightfully knows that she's on the short list of people who may have done it, as far as people think.
Yeah, Veronica's a terrible liar. This is just as bad as Cindy with an S trying to pretend she didn't vote JP out. Like it goes along with many of the people who have tried to do this and failed. Because the thing that like seems tempting about casting a hinky vote is that everyone will have to assume it's this person or one of these people.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if everybody would assume it's one or two people, then those people would never do it. And that becomes very obvious after the fact. So if everyone assumes, oh, well, like everyone's worried about Paris casting a vote for Jesse, and then she says, I'm not going to do it, and then afterwards says, I didn't do it, nobody is going to think Paris is going to be the most innocent person in the house. And anybody that is bringing it up, talking about like, who was it? Or especially if you brought it up beforehand, like, oh, you'd better not do this. It basically just says, you did it. This was you. It's. I don't think it's a difficult thing to get away with. I just think the kind of player that casts a hinky vote is the kind of player that is dumb enough to not be able to get away with it. And I think that's where Veronica stands with this vote. Just very, very poor play from her here. And honestly, one of the things that could potentially get her evicted this week, which is just so dumb because there's no reason for it. Granted, there's plenty of other dumb things that she's done to get herself evicted, but that's neither here nor there. So we have a conversation with Kayla and Allie where, as you mentioned, they both just immediately agree that was Veronica, right? That was Veronica. Yeah. And Kayla is talking to Olivia as well, saying, you know, we would love to get Veronica evicted this week. If we can get her backdoored, that would be wonderful. Kayla says, if it were up to me, I would put up like Will next to, you know, like Marin or somebody, and then say, well, it's Will. It's just because everybody loves you and we know that nobody would vote you out. And then I would backdoor Veronica. I would take down the other person, put Veronica up next to Will, and take Veronica out of the house. But Erica probably doesn't have the balls for that. So they have all three of them have a conversation with Erica, and Erica basically lays it out. She says, before I even won this HOH, I knew what I was going to do. It's going to be Marin and Maddie, and my target is Maddie. And to the collective sighs of Allie, Olivia, and Kayla, who are like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, no, Maddie is someone I had ranked probably too high on my power rankings with Malagory this week. And this is probably where I went wrong because Maddie is definitely Erica's target. She knew what she wanted to do. Marin is put up there as just the floater guy. They want someone on the block anyways. And they don't want Ryan because Ryan might be too tempting to take out. She thinks Marin would be the choice. But we got to go back to this Veronica thing. There's enough anti-Veronica speak in the house. And I think Erica's the type of person where if there's a lot of people breathing about Veronica, she has to at least consider it. I know that later they have Erica and Veronica have a conversation, and it seems like it's not going to happen. They're okay. It just all comes down to now, will Maddie either win the veto or get the veto used on her? Then maybe the conversation opens up. But yeah, enough people. Veronica has burnt enough bridges, and now with this suspicion, there's enough people in that camp that really want this to happen, but that is not Erica's plan. Erica wants Maddie out.
Yes. So Allie, Kayla, and Olivia, they do kind of steer the conversation to Veronica. And Erica does say, like, my opinion of Veronica has changed over the last few days, learning about how much she lied to Jesse, and now this hinky vote stuff, which is probably her. I am open to things. If the veto gets used, I am open to potentially putting Veronica on the block. That is a thing that can happen. They can talk about it if it comes up. But for right now, the target is Maddie. And really the reason there from Erica, she doesn't really give too much of a reason, but I think it's just that Maddie is, you have to remember that the last time Erica discussed targets, the last time Erica had a conversation with these women was a few days ago. She's running a little bit behind, and those few days ago, Maddie was the one that they blamed on putting the wedge in between Erica, Kayla, and Olivia and Allie when it was really Paris. Maddie got all the blame of it, even though she had nothing to do with it. And so in their heads, Maddie is still this kind of floater that is providing false information and putting a wedge between people. And so Erica wasn't involved in the further conversations that they had with Kayla later on, where they made an alliance and said Erica is kind of just with us but not in our alliance. And it was there that Allie, in particular, had started suggesting maybe we should be targeting Veronica. So those other three are on the same page. They want Veronica gone, but Erica is not quite there yet. I guarantee you they will be trying to get that veto used, and they will be trying to get Veronica up on that block and out of that house. But in the meantime, Will and Johnny have a conversation. Again, and Will wants the nominations to be Derek and Kayla. Will wants to finish this job. He does not trust these guys. He wants the showmance up on the block, but Johnny is just like, that is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to touch it. You shouldn't touch it. We should, Erica's going to do her thing, and it's not going to be Derek and Kayla.
Yeah, and honestly, John is just playing this very well. I don't know if it's because also we're sizing up next to Will right now. Will has now got this big moves-itis, and he wants another one of these big shots out of nowhere to like tackle these showmances. But Johnny rightfully, explains to him that we're fine. We're fine. Just let Erica do her thing. We're gonna be all right. They kind of discuss Veronica a little bit. And they agree that, having Veronica stay this week is best for them because Veronica can be seen ahead of them as the stronger player and people will still want to go after Veronica. So having someone like Marin up is better. But, oh my God, like Will just cannot live it down. And I enjoyed seeing Will want to play the game, but at the same time, I don't like his boisterous having to be vocal about what he wants done now. I think he needs to calm down. He needs to go back to sleep again and wake up later because he's all right if he just stops talking.
Yeah, and this is very much sort of the difference between Will and Johnny. They were both the catalysts that got Jesse out of the house. Johnny, as I mentioned, I think was the more effective catalyst, but Will definitely sees himself as the big mover in the house. And Will, coming out from last week, now feels like he is in charge and that he should be able to make his moves in the house. Whereas Johnny, coming from all of that power, is very much willing to go, okay, I'm sitting back down. I do not need to control anything else. I'm not going to try. I'm going to let this go the way that it needs to go. And again, I think that's indicative of Johnny's gameplay being very good and Will's being a little scary here. He should be good this week. He certainly could have been in danger with certain people being in power. Erica, he's kind of lucky that she was the HOH here because she's one of the few. I think the other three women in that alliance would have probably put up Will and Veronica or Will and somebody and then backdoored Veronica. So he's a little lucky there, but still going strong here. He managed to escape the brunt of the attack here, but he certainly would be a big hit for him if he lost Veronica. Will and Johnny both agree Veronica was almost definitely the hinky vote. They're pretty sure as well. But they also agree that they want to protect her this week. They would love to prevent Veronica from going home. Johnny is basically like, yeah, she is a wonderful target. She is so bad at this game. She stands out like a beacon in front of us. All the heat-seeking missiles will just go straight to her, and we'll be totally fine. It'll be totally good. So if there's anything that's going to prevent Veronica from being targeted, I honestly think it might be Johnny. Just a few words in Erica's ear, like, I don't think the house would want this. I don't know if she would go home. It's a big move, and he might be able to prevent it before it even gets off the ground.
I think so too. I think if there's any way that's not going to happen, it is through Johnny. Johnny just has this way of being. He's very light spoken, but his content is heavy. So when he talks to you, you feel like he's not talking at you. He's talking with you. He's kind of being your advisor. And he's a great person to just have a back and forth with, to clear your own mind. And that's at least how he's been able to come off as. So I think if he articulates it like that, it's good. Also, Johnny just has this anti-Marin thing right now. He doesn't really want Marin around. So I could see him maybe trying to push for Marin to be going out of the house, even depending on where the veto lies and how that all goes down. But no, this is just classic, because like we've seen people like Will before, where they get one shot of power or they get one opportunity to like make a move and they think, hey, I did that. Now I can steer every vote the way I want it to. I can get the results I want. I want the results I want. Whereas Johnny, obviously, fan of the show, knows we made some waves. That was amazing. That was fun. I'm going to lay back down because I'm safe. As long as I'm safe, I'm okay. If things need to be steered up a little bit, I can move it in the direction I need by just subtly having these conversations. And he's got good rapport with Erica. So I think ultimately he knows he's okay. And if he needs something to be moved around, he can make it happen by just one or two conversations with Erica.
Yes. So the rest of the night is basically dedicated to, and I have skipped over Olivia and her fun facts.
Dinner.
Just because nobody needs to have to hear that. And so the rest of the night is basically dedicated to Erica talking one-on-one with some people about the nominations and her HOH and all of that. She talks to Maddie, and Maddie is basically saying, like, I've been trying to be more forthcoming in this game, trying to be more honest. I was honest to Jesse about my vote. And I know I've been kind of flip-floppy, and I'm trying to own that. And it's a decent conversation, but even in this conversation, Maddie is being non-committal and being very vague, and Maddie is being far too cautious in this game. And we talked about it when she let Jesse go, essentially by agreeing to the plan at first. And it just in general, she is one of the few people that, like, the reason she's getting blamed for Paris and everything that Paris is doing is because Paris is out there talking to people saying, it's not me, you can trust me. And meanwhile, Maddie is just kind of like withholding a lot. Like, I am kind of a free agent. I am kind of like, doing this. I am kind of doing that. But, and it sketches people out. If you can't give them a firm yes when other people are, even if those other people are people like Veronica, and they don't even believe the firm yes that Veronica is giving them, at least there's a yes. At least there's something that they can hold on to. Even though this is kind of a pleasant conversation, Maddie is opening up a little more. She's being pretty honest. Erica is also being pretty non-committal toward her. She's saying, I'm not sure where things are going to go this week. It's still a little bit up in the air, which as soon as you hear that from an HOH, you need to be worried, because HOHs almost always have plans. And if they tell you they don't have a plan, it means you're the plan.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And I think we're getting to the stage of the game where like Maddie should kind of realize what the house is. Being unassuming is no longer okay, because now being unassuming with everyone else's agenda kind of already on the table, even if they're lying to your face, you kind of know where they're at anyways. Maddie still remains to be one of the few people in the house that you just don't know where their head is at. You don't know which side they're on. You don't know who's their people. And that's no good. And the fact is that Maddie kind of did take that shot. Did get shot last week when in the early goings, had she showed some pushback, maybe none of this Jesse stuff would have gone down the way it did, how easily it's switched around. But she was kind of like, okay. And it became reality. So now her, like, what she should have done is go upstairs, talk to Erica, kind of just give her reassurances, but also give her like something, give her some content, even if it's just peeing in the wind. Give her like a couple, like throw a name or two out there. Cause like being wishy-washy at this stage is not something the HOH wants to hear, because if you're being this way, all that's telling Erica is you're upset that I won, because you're clearly not letting me in on what you want to happen. So you might have been taking a shot at me if it was you winning. Therefore, I need to be doing that, because like she's reassuring Erica that her move to put up Maddie is correct by not saying anything.
Yep. So we then get Ryan talking to Erica. He basically here's the thing about Ryan. We talked about his potential to become a Spencer Clausen of the house, and it seems like that might be coming true a little bit. He basically he knows how to play the I have nobody. Look, basically what he says to Erica. Look, I'm willing to vote whichever way you want. And if you need some advice from somebody who knows the game really well, I got you. So he's like, look, I'm laying myself at your feet. I will vote the way you want. I am a tool for you to use. That's exactly what people want to hear from people that they think are alone in the game. So. Erica says she feels pretty good about him. She's not going to put Ryan on the block. She does ask him about this alliance that Jesse talked about, Hamza, Marin, Will, and Veronica. And Ryan kind of, granted, he doesn't know that they are an alliance, so he might be telling the truth here. Honestly, that's probably the case, because if Ryan did know, he probably would have told her. But what Ryan says about this alliance is that he just thinks, no, I think they have a good relationship with each other. I think that, Marin, nobody really talked to him, and so the only people that did were people like Hamza, so I think that's why they're really close, but I don't think they have an official alliance, which, I mean, if they're close, they might as well be in an alliance. You know what I mean? Like, especially in this house where alliances are basically meaningless. So the question was asked, Ryan answered, and I don't think Erica is too concerned about it at the moment. So this didn't really change her mind in any way.
No. And Ryan's playing a remarkable third place game. Spencer Clausen, Adam Pock. He's kind of just like going to whoever has the power and just giving them his vote, selling it. It's yours. Do whatever you need to do with it. And honestly, that's a solid way to stay off the block. It honestly really is, especially for specifically catered to Ryan's gameplay. The fact that he had that HOH and then had this huge target on himself. Now that there are other people coming into like that target list, he's slowly moving back to becoming just this unappealing waste of an HOH pick because of the nature of his being, which is, I'll just give you my vote. And I don't have anybody. I'm not aligned with anybody, so you can use me. And that still is a more assuring thing for someone like Erica than Maddie is, where Maddie's playing this, I don't know. Like, you don't know where she's going to vote. If she's not on the block, you don't know who her targets are. Ryan is easy. Ryan's targets are who your target is. That's done. That's such an easy sell. So for what he is at this point, Ryan's playing a good game for him right now.
Yeah. So then we get Veronica talking to Erica, and Veronica immediately starts talking about the hinky vote. Who is the hinky vote? I was wondering who that might be. And like basically saying, I can't believe that whoever that was, what a terrible thing to do. What an awful person. And Erica is basically like, man, you'd be really screwed if you were the person bringing it up all the time, saying what a terrible person that is, and then it was actually you that did it. That would be a really bad thing to do, Veronica. And Veronica was like, yeah, it would be. Terrible. The worst. I never trust that person ever again. Just like, what do you do? Just digging the hole, digging it so deep.
I mean, You came into the game with one of the worst lies. You got called out for it the next day. You think the lesson you learn from that is stop lying. Like,
Yeah.
I clearly can't do this. I should stop. Don't double down. Don't double down and be like the only vote, the only hinky vote. Like, it's not like it was 8-3. It was a 9-2. Ali was clearly the one. So it leaves one person and you're the one constantly bringing it up. It's like if you trying to prank somebody and let's say you put like a bucket of water on top of their door for them to walk into and you're just keep like, come in. Like, why aren't you coming into my room? Something sketchy's up. Why do you keep insisting? So it's not good, Veronica. It's not good at all. I think it's only a matter of time before she is completely out as the one who did the hinky vote. I don't know how she's going to handle it because her second question to Erica was, well, are a lot of people saying it's me? Like, do a lot of people think it's me? It's like, yes, yes. Like, the whole thing with that is you have to have a I don't give an F attitude when this comes up. Just like, psh, me? That's stupid. Why the hell would it be me? Done. No one will bring him. Don't be too outraged, but also don't be too like, oh my God, like people actually think it's me. That's crazy. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But at the same time, it's Veronica. This is what we expected to have from her, is her get into a good position 1 second and then blow it up the next second by doing too much when she doesn't need to do anything.
Yes, I actually one interesting bit from the fun facts is that Veronica was actually the one driving the train that hit Becky because she's such a train wreck. It's crazy with this conversation. Erica, yes, as you mentioned, she talks about the fact like, look, people are kind of sketched out. Like they do think it might be you, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of might have thought that. And Veronica's like, oh, definitely not me. Like even in this moment, she's still doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. And then she has the gall to propose, let's work together. Let's work together. I want to take you to the end, Erica. We would be a force to be reckoned with, the two of us. And oh boy, this would be great. I will always be straight up with you. I will always be so honest with you, and we'll make such a good team. And I have to imagine that Erica is sitting there thinking like, you just lied to my face. You just like quadrupled down about your lie, and now you're proposing that we work together, and your main selling point is I will always be straight up with you. It's literally raining, and you're telling me that it's a sunny day out. Like I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's funny because as the one-on-one conversations were going, I thought Maddie is donezo for this week, and then this conversation happens, and I have to believe that if enough people push, Veronica's name could come closer to that list. And it's just messy gameplay. It's really messy gameplay because now you did something to stir things up, and the only one that's going to get hit by it is you. Now you're in a position where anyone that gets this information can sell it to the HOH and have you gone. And the fact that the week is as long as it is, she's lucky that within the next two and a half days, we'll get the veto, we'll get the post-veto nominations, like everything will be done, because then it might come out. But she has to hold it together for 2.5 days. I don't trust her to hold it for the next 24 hours. I really do think that we could be in a position, Taran, where tomorrow morning you get on with Liana, you guys do the hellos, you do the greetings, and then we talk about how Veronica has blown it up and everyone knows Veronica was the hinky vote and now she's being looked at as a target. I really do think that could happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Ultimately, Erica doesn't get back around to talking with the other women until this morning, and I have been reading that she basically has told them, I'm sticking with my nominations, but Veronica is definitely an option for a backdoor if that happens. So watch out for that, Veronica. They finish up this conversation. Erica basically goes along with what Veronica's saying. Oh yeah, we could totally work together. Nobody would. The typical line of like nobody would know that we were so close. Which I feel like that's the line for people pretending to be in an alliance with each other. So. Yeah. Then she talks with Hamza, and Hamza is volunteering to go up on the block. because he wants to win the veto, and it's again, it's like if Dr. Will had no idea what he was doing and was just like being a crazy person. Like I don't know what's going on with Hamza. I don't know why he's volunteering to go up on the block, because like you might say, oh, it's like reverse psychology, you know, like
Right.
if he volunteers to go on the block, then they're less likely to put him on the block. That's not true though, because if Erica really needed somebody on the block, she like Ryan would go, all right, cool. And if Hamza was on the block this week, he's going home, guaranteed, no
Yeah.
question about it. After that week last week, the votes would flip against him some way or somehow. So I don't know what he's doing here. He also basically says, "Oh, you're gonna put up Maddie and Marin." That's fine with me. I don't care about Marin. And he also basically gives the okay, like, yeah, you can put up Veronica too, like whatever. He is back to full on lone wolf mode. Hamza's all over the place.
Hamza's weird, man. Like, you don't spend an entire HOH making connections, forming these alliances, and then next week revert back. You don't do something crazy where you completely flip the house to make a move that once was not possible, and then decide, oh, what's my next best move? Be up for eviction. Be up to be voted against. Like, are you insane, man? I think it kind of like there's a lot of people thinking, oh, you know, Hamza ideally would want to be, you know, voted out before jury kicks off just so he can be with Caroline. And like, he's done his thing now. He's made his move. Maybe, but at the same time, I think he just believes in what he's selling. And it doesn't help his ego that he won HOH and veto last week. So now he's convinced that, you know, this entire time I was talking about winning all the competitions. It was a slow start, but now I'm on. Now I'm gonna be the veto king. Is what he wants. He wants to be the veto king now, and it's insanity. But at the same time, it's good for people to know that if they ever need a second person on the block after they have one person, Hamza's available because he's willing to do it. He wants it, and he's asking for it. I don't understand this move at all. I know that his like big brother person that he likes is Cody. I don't even think Cody would be like this, trying to be on the block every time. I mean, like, maybe, but Hamza's weird, man. He's his own mold, and we will be talking about this for futures to come when anyone tries to. It's the Hamza now. It's to be asking to be put on the block every time you're not HOH to win the veto. That's the Hamza.
and like as it was with Dr. Will, like there is a strength to not caring, and I do think Hamza legitimately doesn't care, but I don't think it's a game thing. I don't think it's a strategy thing. I think Hamza legitimately just like doesn't think he can win this game and is just gonna play as hard as possible until he goes out. And I think that's where he's coming from. So that really concluded the night. As I mentioned this morning, Erica woke up. She talked to some of the women in her alliance, or semi-alliance, that yes, she will still be targeting Maddie and putting Marin up on the block next to her. And she is having a conversation with Marin right now where she's informing Marin that he is going up on the block as a pawn. He is not her target, she's telling her, or him. And she's also saying, look, I would like to win the veto to have the option to potentially put up a bigger target. So that is definitely on her mind. I was a little bit worried that, I was considering that maybe she was just placating the women who had suggested nominating Veronica, but the fact that she is telling Marin this as well tells me that this is a serious consideration, and that if the veto is won by Erica, Marin, or Maddie, that's at least 3 out of 6, then there's a very good chance that Veronica goes on the block. And if Veronica is up on the block, I do think she goes home. Because if you think about the votes, there are now 10 votes. It would be Allie, Olivia, and Kayla. Then Derek, and who's the fifth? There's totally a fifth.
Paris could be in the mix.
Paris, Paris definitely would vote Veronica out.
Yeah.
That's 5. They only need 5. Erica can break the tie. And there you go. Veronica's done.
Yeah.
So Veronica in some trouble here for sure. And I have to say, it does seem like Marin is handling this conversation pretty well, but not doing himself any favors to get off the block necessarily, but doing himself favors to not get the target turned on to him. That said, this is talking without mentioning the Johnny of it all, because we're saying that potentially Veronica gets backdoored, but Johnny may work to prevent that. Johnny may convince Erica not to do this. We're also talking about Maddie potentially going home if Marin and Maddie stay up on the block, which seems like it would be the case without the Johnny of it all. Add Johnny into the mix. Johnny may want to flip this vote against Marin. That's something that we need to look out for if we move forward. Yes, Doom in the chat also points out Ryan would probably vote Veronica out as well, especially if she's up against somebody like Marin, maybe Maddie, but Ryan said he'd give Erica his vote wherever she went. So if Veronica's up on the block, she's done.
I agree.
And that's basically how it goes.
Yeah, and it kind of is funny because I feel like Johnny does rightfully see Marin as someone who's floating, and also he could see Marin as someone who not many people are going to be putting on the block for any reason, because like, what's the point? So if he thinks this is my one shot to get Marin out, he could really try and push for it again. I know I just talked about how he's probably going to lay low this week, but this is one situation where that might happen. On the flip side also, it's like playing a game of spades or a game of hearts. Using the veto on someone hasn't been done yet. We're getting to week 4. Usually, once it happens once, that's when it starts happening. But until then, it's difficult. We've gone 3 weeks now where no one's used it. So I'm really intrigued to see if it goes down. I would hope it goes down. I would really like to see that happen. And I think that these two on the block, it's the right amount of people that enough people would also maybe use it. Because I feel like if Hamza wins the veto, he's going to use it to save Marin. If Ryan wins the veto, he's probably going to do the same thing. Like there's enough people involved that will probably try and make it work and try and use it regardless of what Erica would want. I think her alliance, specifically the girls, might not do it if any of them win and Erica really doesn't like changes her mind. But I think ultimately this is that week. This is that week where enough people are like, listen, we want this, like make it happen. And I do see, it's funny because I do see Maddie v. Veronica being the final product, not so much both the gate crashers, the final product. But if it does become the final gate, the last two being the gate crashers, that'll be also really interesting to see because I feel like that might be a losing battle for Johnny. Like if it's Maddie, I think it's easier to like move it around. But if it's Marin versus Veronica, enough people would be like, Marin's nothing. Like, Marin's fine. I feel like the one person that's getting the true edit on the show is Marin. Really, like, everyone else is kind of maybe under-edited, over-edited. Marin's, like, the sweet spot. He's listening to music. He's hanging out. He's dancing. He's doing the Millie Walk. Like, that's Marin in his prime. So I feel comfortable saying that we're probably going to lose Maddie or Veronica this week.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that is definitely the most likely outcome. And while I do think that Johnny will have a lot of influence on or could have a lot of influence on this week, like we talked about before, I don't know how far he's willing to go this week. He put in a lot of work last week because he needed to shake up the house and get rid of the power dynamic, and he did that. And now he is on top of everything. And so I don't think he feels the need to control every little aspect of this week. He definitely wants to keep Veronica safe, but I don't think he's willing to really go out on a limb to keep her safe. The whole point of her is for her to be a target in front of him. It doesn't help him if he puts a target on his own back trying to save her. And the same thing goes for Marin. He might want to put a target on Marin right now, but that doesn't mean that he needs to go out on a limb to evict Marin. He's no stake in keeping Maddie safe. So if I had to guess, I'd say we might see Johnny whisper in a couple ears, see what the reaction is. But if it seems like a battle that is too costly to fight, I think he'll back off and let the week happen the way that it happens because he's safe and he's in a great position. So he doesn't need to be doing anything.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I feel like convincing people that Jesse is the one to go after when Olivia's sitting next to him is an easier level of gameplay to like make them realize eye to eye, listen, these are the two people. But then when you have Marin and like someone like Maddie or Marin and Veronica, that's like expert level. And week 4, like I'm not saying that I don't think Johnny's capable, but after doing that first one and coming out of it unscathed, to do it again and then do it for a smaller target like Marin, that might show his hand. It might expose him. It might make his pull like come to the forefront and people see that. So I think I'm with you. I think he's probably going to whisper to 1 or 2 people, see if anyone bites. If anyone bites, he'll try and run with it a little bit. But if there's pushback, he's going to drop it. Because like ultimately Veronica's, for him, in his eyes, Veronica's there to give him that extra week bump. And if he loses her now, it's not really love lost because he'll be fine. He's created enough social capital in the last week alone to, I think, get him to at least 4 weeks out without a question.
Yes. All right. So that seems to be where we are set up right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the veto, of course. It really does, as we mentioned, look like this week should be Veronica or Maddie. One of those two, but you never know, especially with this house. Things can change. People get bored. People start, messing around with things.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, make sure you are thinking about the double eviction as well, because there will be a double eviction this coming week, and I have no idea who's going to be targeted. Like this house has a crazy dynamic right now, and this week so far is doing nothing to change that. And anybody winning that HOH could go after anybody at this point, as far as I'm concerned. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of. This is. In my opinion, as long as there's not a twist that happens before the double eviction, this is like the first double eviction that we've had in a long time where the game has been left untouched and it's been scattered about, and now a double eviction is happening where anything can happen. And it's been so long since that's happened. Even like Big Brother Celebrity with some of these like live evictions like got really messed up because of people quitting. So like, Big Brother, it's just this is our opportunity for some good TV, and with the way that these episodes are edited, this is especially a good appointment watching television here because they don't have the time to mess anything up.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's a week where I would tell people to let's all hold hands and stay off Twitter to avoid spoilers, it's next Thursday. I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun to watch because honestly, it's a shot in the dark as to who's going to win, who's going to put who up, I have no idea where the chips are going to fall. And I think it's one of those where outside of someone like, let's say, Olivia going home, I think every other person going would be an exciting thing to see. If Olivia goes home, it's kind of like, well, that was a thing. But even that, getting to where it goes and how that gets there, I think because we don't have enough information or because of how fluid the house has been, it's going to be a fun event for all. So get ready. It's going to be a fun week. We're going to see what goes down with Erica's HOH, and then we're going to see what goes down with the double. No twists so far. But, Taran, so I know you love twists. So do you think that the twist is coming after the double? Do you think something's going to be unleashed within that first week after the double?
I mean, it's certainly possible. It's that's Big Brother Canada style. We know there's at least one twist, right? To do with that big throne. I'm pretty sure they talked about like the twist, the blah blah blah. So there's going to be some sort of, and I think there's a Canada's vote involved with that. And honestly, I'm just hoping and praying that like we go as long as possible with good gameplay and good feeds before they mess it up with a twist and solidify everything. Which that tends to be how Big Brother Canada works. Like, it's a great first half or first couple weeks or however long they go with before introducing the twists, and then they do the twist, and the twist is usually somewhat exciting in the moment, but it ruins the rest of the season in terms of the feeds and the show. So The longer we can go without it, as far as I'm concerned, the better. And honestly, as far as these episodes go, I'm not going to complain too much about the poor editing. I mean, obviously, it impacts, especially if there's going to be a candidate's vote. It's pretty bullshit that like people like Johnny who are doing a ton of work get no screen time, and there's going to be some kind of candidate vote, and it's like, well, it's not going to be Johnny, even though he might be a fan favorite if you showed what he was doing. But you know, the show is the show. They can do whatever they want with it as long as they're giving us good feeds. I'm happy, and they are. So I'm very happy with what they're doing. Again, it's just like, don't complain and come running to us complaining about how your show isn't getting good ratings and say that's why you need twists when it's your fault for not editing the show properly. That's what I'm saying. But look, I care more about the feeds, and they're giving us good feeds, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I feel like with Big Brother Canada too, it's gotten to a point where I've always tried to avoid seeing the show and the feeds as, you know, having to be linked together. And like, the reason is I've convinced myself of this is because I know what to expect. I know I'm not going to see all the things I'm seeing on the feeds. Like, Johnny pretty much had no exposure. We forgot he was on the episode till the very end, like 2 days in a row. But like, this is where, and like, they've been cutting the feeds for like the celebratory stuff, the party stuff. So we are getting those in the episode, which I kind of wish it was kind of like flipped. Maybe, but then at the same time, that'd be saying I'd want to miss all the deep conversations and strategy talks on the feeds, which I don't want. I think you gotta watch both, and you gotta enjoy both for what they are. Like, Big Brother Canada at 8 p.m. is like what you'd expect to watch at 8 p.m. A bunch of people making out. Every now and then, some strategy talk. One person yells or two people yell. You got your Hamza diary room screaming, and that's pretty much like that's its own thing now, and this is its own thing. So like, there's some people that do one or the other. You know, we're the type of people that get ourselves both. And like, kind of, you got to enjoy both. You got to enjoy both for what they are.
Yes. All right. Well, that's all we've got for you today for today's update. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, where we'll talk about everything that goes on the feeds today. And, of course, make sure you check out the Taran show that I did with Spencer Clausen, the guy that Ryan is trying to emulate on the show. Very, very fun conversation there. And make sure you tune in for the next Taran show as well. I will hopefully be talking with our good friend Kirsten, who was supposed to be on this season. So we'll get her thoughts and her story, and that'll be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in for that one. And then, of course, Monday night, we'll be live after the episode, or Rob will be live after the episode to talk about the veto. Or no, not the veto. The nominations. Man, they wait so long. The nominations. And then we will be in Reno next week, or at least I will be in Reno next week. So I will be podcasting the updates from the West Coast. It'll be earlier for me, and I probably will not have slept. So be prepared for Crazy Taran. And Kevin will also be there, so hopefully we'll get Kevin on some podcasts as well. So lots of fun stuff headed your way. Very, very excited about all of it. Make sure you check out my interview with Jesse that I'll be doing a little bit later today. It may or may not be attached to this very podcast if you're listening to it in the feed. Thanks for hanging out. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Armstrong Taran. Puya is at Puyaism. And we'll see you next time.